I was wondering, you mentioned that you're from St. Lucia. What is your life like there? Do you have a family, or did you have a family there? And did you have to leave them behind when you came to Canada?
Yes, in Saint Lucia, I had a pretty stable family, and I had, well, at the time in 2012, I had one boy, a son, and a daughter, and at that time, their mom had passed, so I literally I was a single parent during that time, and they were pre-teens. My daughter was 11, and my son was, well, he was a teen, early teen, 13. And that was a very difficult stage. I had to leave them, very difficult stage, because at that time in their life, that is the time when basically children go through that important stage in life, which we call teenage. We refer to them as a teenager, and that's an important stage in life when we basically children transition from childhood into adults.
Mhm.
And I had to leave them at that stage, so that was a really difficult time to leave them. And the other important thing is, being a migrant worker in Canada, you're not allowed, you cannot bring in your family with you, and that was very, very difficult. In fact, it is the biggest headache, the biggest challenge that migrant workers face.
And how did you feel when you had to leave them behind? How did that make you feel?
I was broken in the sense that two things. One, I was broken because one, at the time I was forced to leave them, not with a gun. I wasn't forced by way of a gun to leave them. I was forced because I was unemployed. I couldn't get work in my country because of difficult economic situation, or being unemployed, not having social support. So I was forced to leave my country to seek employment elsewhere. So that economic situation forced me to leave them. But on the other one hand, I was forced to leave St. Lucia. On the other hand, leaving my children behind, that was a very, very difficult decision, difficult thing. So I was torn. One hand is forcing me to leave, go and earn your livelihood. Another hand is telling me, stay back and stay with your family. So that was a difficult life I had. I was torn between, literally, I was sandwiched between a rock and a hard place. Like, I have to leave for economic reason. I have to stay to take care of my family.
You've also written a book, and so you're an author, as you have said. And what is your book called, and what is it about?
The book is called Harvesting Freedom. And what is it about? It's about the life of a migrant worker in Canada. And the name harvesting is an agricultural word, harvesting, and freedom is a social word, right? So the name of the book is very, very deliberate. And why it's very deliberate? Because the farm program, it started in Jamaica in 1966, and this year being 2023, is the 57th anniversary of that program. After 57 years, it isn't time to harvest freedom.
So, sorry, I just jumped in because you said 1966. So you're talking about the farm work program with Canada.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I'm referring specifically to this one. Yes.
Yes.
And
Okay.
yeah, that's a good interjection, because we also had farm programs with the US and so on. They started at different times. Yeah, migrant work have been a really something that literally, like, I would say, like, literally every generation of ours in the Caribbean are associated in one way or another with a form of migrant labor, for sure.
That's right. That's right. So what made you decide to write this book?
What made me to, well, a lot of things. I wrote this book. What kind of influenced me to write this book? A lot of things. Some of the things at the top of my head: one, Canada has 5 Ds. the 5 Ds of Canada I learned. Canadians generally are very good at denying it, that migrant justice and migrant rights don't exist. They're very good at denying it. 1D is deny. Another D for Canadians, they're very good at downplaying it. Oh, it's not as bad as the US. Another D, they like to deflect the conversation. Whenever we talk about a story, they like to deflect it or derail the conversation, or even delay that conversation about migrant justice. So that is one reason I wrote the book, The 5 Ds of Canada. Another important thing is a lot of Canadians are not aware of the migrant situation because we are made invisible, and we are made invisible in so many ways. We are not in mainstream media. We are not. Whenever I came to Canada, whenever we arrive, migrant workers arrive in Canada, is always under the cover of darkness. We live on the farms. We are made invisible in so many ways. So a lot of Canadians are not really aware of the situation, and that is by design because we are made invisible. Another reason why I wrote this book is because increasingly when I go to universities and colleges, increasingly a growing number of Canadians are trying to they want to be more concerned. They're showing more concern about where and how the food is being grown. They tell me, you know what they keep telling me? In Canada, it is legal for people to exploit the soil. It is legal for people to exploit the environment. It is legal to exploit migrant workers. And these people, they tell me they want to know that their food is being grown by people who respect the soil, respect the environment, and respect migrant workers. So that's another reason why I wrote this book, because the real story behind the food, the people who the people who plant, the people who package, the people who pick, the people who process, the people who prepare our meals, they are all people of color. They are all migrant workers, and a lot of people are not aware of that. So to expose that story, that is another reason why I wrote that book. Another reason why I wrote that book is because the book is important. Why? To let Canadians know that Canadians are not bad, that the politicians are not bad, that the farmers are not bad, but it's the government policies that are bad, and it's the government policies that needs changing. And Canadians need to be aware of that and to push their politicians, to pressure their politicians to create a fair system, a just system, by changing those unjust laws, those unjust policies.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure that the book you have written, it just came out in January 2023. So I'm sure that a lot of people will become aware of the living situation of migrant workers. I certainly, after writing my book, Malaika Carnival Queen,
Yes.
And after I wrote the story, it had been in my head for a long time. And it was inspired by my two grandfathers, and one of my grandfathers didn't come home. So my mother grew up not meeting this grandfather. I never met this grandfather. I don't even have a picture of this grandfather. So this book is all dedicated to both of them, but the story is inspired by him. So what I'd like to know is, what did you do as a farmer? Or what was it like